take a look at the size of these beautiful purple passion sweet potatoes. Guten gardening, everybody. Well, today I'm going to be harvesting our sweet potatoes out of our 17 and 18 gallon food safe plastic bins. And we're going to get right into this harvest. I got quite a few different varieties, and I'm going to try to make it a little bit easier on myself this year. And I'll show you what I mean. Well, these are the containers that I'm talking about right here. And I got a couple more over here. Actually, I have quite a few containers out here, but you can see the sweet potatoes themselves, the leaves have died back. We had a nice little frost here, but these are heavy. Usually what I do is to dump the containers out onto some black plastic, and there's this whole process of cleanup. But I've got an empty bed that I haven't put the garlic in yet, where we took our prairie blush potatoes out. If you haven't seen that video, you should check it out. So I'm just gonna dump these containers into that bed and then scoop the soil mix out back into the container afterward. I think it's gonna be a lot easier. Let's go ahead and get started. And it actually looks like our first variety is gonna be Hannah, which is a variety that we've been growing the longest. And let's see how this works. I'm just gonna pop this right over top here. Boom, right into the bed and pull it right off. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It just means I'll have to pay attention to how much I leave in here. Now, a quick examination around the exterior shows me that there are some sweet potatoes here right up along the edge. I got a decent one right here. Hannah, as you can see, is a lighter skinned with a white flesh, lighter skinned sweet potato with a white flesh. So I'm just gonna break this open, see how easily this goes. Break it open, because when I attack it from the underside, usually it's a pretty easy harvest. Oh yeah, look right down in here. Look at how many we've got. Oh boy. All right, last season our Hannahs didn't like us very much. Look at those fingers. Look at this one right here. This season I'm hopeful. Take a look at those beauties. So these aren't the biggest you've ever seen, but the Hannahs, which are a dryer, a starcher, that's a better way of saying it, starcher sweet potato, look at how plentiful they are on here. I'm just pulling them off. I'm detaching them with one hand while trying to film with the other. Do you see how many sweet potatoes just came out of that singular slip there? Now, I planted 3 slips per container. So each variety has 3 slips per container. And I did plant a couple, I believe, that were the same variety. So a couple of beds with the same, or a couple containers with the same variety. We'll see which ones those are as we get into this harvest. Boy, you talk about an easy harvest. Container gardening, huh? Am I right? And look at these beauties. Man, I tell you what, I think I said I'd tell you what a whole bunch of times. But you know what? I'll tell you what. These are wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And you see how easy it is to harvest from a container like this. You get past the fact that there's a decent amount of weight involved. You know, lifting that up wasn't necessarily the easiest thing, but once you get past that piece, you know, you have complete control over the mix inside of here. Not too shabby, especially when you consider what our Hannahs did last season, or I should say what they didn't do. Some really nice sized sweet potatoes in here. I'm definitely not going to take you through this process every time, but this is what I meant by I'm going to make it easier. I'll just refill and move these out of the way. All right, variety number 2, Stokes Purple. You know, one thing I really love about labeling these sweet potatoes is not having to try to figure out what exactly I planted where, which sadly happens more often probably than I'd like to admit. All right, I see a couple along the side. Let's get in here, break this open. Be gentle, especially early on with these, because if I flip this off to the side, ooh, I might break one, but you know what? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now these purple Stokes sweet potatoes were originally store-bought. That's how we got a hold of them. We bought some, one organic sweet potato, maybe 2. Now it's been a couple years, so my memory is not what it used to be. But we've been just keeping 1 or 2, growing slips, propagating slips, and keeping it going. So these are officially Guten gardening purple Stokes sweet potatoes. We'll claim them. We will claim them. Well, I know our Roost Stout is the easiest harvest overall because it's just pulling out of hay, but these containers make it pretty easy as well. Pretty decent size in here for a large number of these too. Oh, see, I just broke off the tip of one of these. I don't know how big it is inside, but let's see. Let's move over. That's what I'm saying. It's not a difficult harvest, but I do want to be careful as I'm doing the first breakdown right up here, because especially if we get some that are a little longer and maybe not as thick of sweet potatoes, they break pretty easily. But these are beautiful size. I love it. You see these sticking up here at the top? These like mountain peaks right here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, the voles so far, this is only our second container. The voles so far have said, nope, not this year. Let's keep it going. And the production, the size of these has been plenty big enough for me to be happy with what I'm seeing. And again, we have quite a few containers here, so we're just getting going with these purples and these other sweet potatoes. We're just getting going. Oh, this one just popped right out as I was thinking I had gathered all of them up. I was just pulling the vine through, and there was another one down in there. Yeah, I'm not gonna miss any. That's the nice thing too about this, is because there's a limit to how deep they can grow, it's not like you're gonna miss some that have dug them. So it's not even nearly as hard as in native soil where you don't know how deep or how deeply they're going to dig. Take a look at all these purples and the size. Fantastic. Well, we've had two pretty nice containers worth, and I'm gonna maybe interrupt that with one that doesn't perform as well. This is White Triumph, and I say maybe. We grew it last year. I planted it a few places, not much. And the reason not much is because it really didn't perform for us last year, but maybe I'll be surprised. Though to be fair, I'm a little doubtful that I will be. Although this first one's not so bad. That's a decent sized White Triumph. You see the white skin, mostly white skin. It's got a white flesh to it. They didn't even really get to eat much last year because they were so small. They were so small that we had to save the biggest ones to plant again if we wanted to try. Hey, but the first two coming out of here aren't bad. This is what we got a lot of last season from the White Triumph, just a thinner, smaller sweet potato. And honestly, this particular one looked like it was growing the least well in terms of the container sweet potatoes, the least well out of about all of them. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there'll be a whole bunch more in here, but I kind of doubt that that's going to be the case. Hey, it's not horrible, so I can't complain too much. We got some decent sized ones this year, more so than last season, but just a few. And apparently I accidentally planted a Stokes purple. No, I know what happened. This one in particular, only two of the slips survived planting, and so I threw a nice little Stokes purple in there too. All right, well, not so much, just like I expected. I got about half the mix back into this bag. When I found this, you know what it is. And I promise you, I'm not putting these in here. Now I got this container of Centennial growing clear on the other side of creation, so I'm gonna come down to this one and see what we got. You see how one of these is missing? I happen to know that my wife came out here and dug up some of these sweet potatoes. So I've seen what was in here, and the ones that she dug up, which was a nice handful. Well, let me pull this one back. A large number of them were about this size. So we'll see what else is in here. Yeah, there was a second there where I was trying to figure out what on earth was it. It looks like something's digging in here. That something was a human. All right, let's see what we got. I'm not dumping these, obviously. There we go. Okay, now these have been in here for about 110 days. And it looks like in particular, this one is starting to head back out to sprouting. You see that right there? If I let this go, we'd get some slips really quickly from this particular variety. This variety was also where this container is. There, see? I told you I'm not putting these in there. This container, you know, where this one is actually fairly shaded as well for a good part of the day by our sour cherry tree. So I don't know if that's had any impact on these or on their development. I'm gonna reach way down in here for this one. Not much left on here, but again, that's because a good bit of these were harvested already. So no, I can't complain because I've actually been eating them. Hold on, there's one more. Like it. Here, this is the fun part. See what I bring out. Oh, this one was already pulled off the top. There's what's left. That's actually a pretty nice one. So, oh, there's, what's this? I'm digging way down. See, here's the thing. When I don't empty it out, you just have to see my hand digging down into the depths. But at least it's an easy depth to dig down into. Look at this. How are they getting them so far down in there? This one's got roots on it. Now, this container is also Centennial, but nobody's been into this one. So let's see what we got up here. Potato harvest or a sweet potato harvest? Which one's better? Look at the sweet potato coming through the bottom there. Which one's better? What's your preference? Well, one thing's for sure, this is, in both cases, a journey of discovery. All right, let's see what we got. Let's dig through the side here just a little bit. The Centennials in the past have produced some pretty good size. Quantity-wise, maybe not as much. I said in the past, I don't know about this one. But the taste is so good. Like, I don't think you can go wrong with the taste of Centennial. So it's one of those varieties where, I don't know, it's like you take what you can get sometimes because it's worth it, because of the variety, because of the taste, because, ooh, okay. This one in particular is going way back in there. Oh, it's the whole way through. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna turn this, I'll pull this off here, turn this back over a little bit. Ooh, there's another one here. Oh, okay. Look at that, it's like two pieces. And the same thing that we saw before with the sprouting. You know, with the sweet potatoes, I don't want these to sprout because I'm gonna be eating them. So I'm just gonna pull these off. But look at that, it's like a fine little connection. That's beautiful. And then let's, you know, I couldn't get down in here yet to get to the other side. Let's see what we got. Well, there's some more down in here. I'm gonna shake it off a little bit. Nothing massive there. Just a long one that didn't really fill out. But this one is quite extensive. Some of these are so long. You get 15, 16 inches on them at least. I prefer something that's a little bit easier to peel and work with, but I will eat them and I'm not gonna complain. Let's see if there's anything else that still attached here, but I think there's probably one or two more right down in here. Now again, it's basically what I said. We got a couple of decent sized ones, but not very many. And normally that would mean we're not going to keep growing this variety, but again, I enjoy this taste of this variety so much. It's like, you get something like this, it's enough for me to keep going. The White Triumph, no, I don't think we'll bring that one back. I don't think I'm going to keep wasting space on that one. The Centennial, we're going to keep growing. Now, the Stokes Purple isn't the only purple variety we're growing this year. We're also growing some Purple Passion. Purple Passion, which we've also been growing the last couple of seasons. This one originally came from some slips that we got from Taterman. Taterman.com, George's Plant Farm. And I suppose you could argue that these have a similar taste to the Stokes Purple, because I think the purple in general have a fairly similar taste, but these I really like. Take a look at that. That's not so big, that's not so small, that's right in the middle. One of the things that we found is that they tend to be longer and thinner than a lot of our other sweet potato varieties for whatever reason. And so this is what we're used to seeing for the purples. You know, nothing. I mean, that they do get a little thicker than this for us. And I think, you know, when you buy them in the store, you see them, a lot of them are thicker than that. I don't know for the purple ones, but for whatever reason, for us, the purple sweet potatoes tend to appear just like this. But if you're somebody who doesn't like sweet potatoes, this doesn't taste like any other sweet potato. So maybe this will get you interested. Take a look. Oh, at the size of these beautiful purple passion sweet potatoes. Wow. Can you see it sprouting there a little bit? I left them in the ground a little too long. But look at the size of these. They're massive. And now we get to our Japanese red. Another variety that I think is probably one of the longer, or maybe longest growing varieties, I should say, here at Guten Gardening. Now in the past, the Japanese reds have been nice and prolific for us. Good producers. You see this reddish, almost like purplish skin, but the flesh inside is white. So a red skin, a white flesh. And as I said, the size of these in the past, and I just broke one, the size has been pretty good. That's one of the reasons why we keep coming back to this variety. Now I'm curious, as you're watching this video and you're seeing all these different varieties of sweet potato in here, if you have a favorite either variety or favorite or preference for color, because you know a lot of people I've found, well, first, don't even know that there's so much variety out there, but if you do, a lot of times what I found is that you have very clear preferences. And the Japanese red is a pretty common one that you can get at the local store, local grocery store. At least that's what we found. And these have been pretty consistent in size. And they're gonna be pretty nice. Oh yeah, look at all of these fingers. Oh boy, yeah, these are what did I say? The Japanese reds have tended toward being more productive. And I see one more right here that's gonna be a nice size too. Absolutely nice size. So yeah, they've been more productive for us than some of our other varieties. It's one of those things, you know, you just get used to it. Each area, in my opinion, there's some sweet potatoes better fit for some areas, and the Japanese red seem to be a really good fit for our Zone 5 garden. Now, it might be hard to believe, but we're already on our 7th variety in this video, and that's vardaman. And vardaman just so happens to be a bush variety. All these other ones are not bush varieties, these are vining varieties, but our vardaman grows a lot better in small spaces and typically has pretty consistent size on the sweet potatoes. But you know what I just found? Hey, the fact that it took this long to get here, our first vole damage, I'm gonna say the voles have left us alone pretty well, but I do have three containers up in that same area. So if the voles got into this one, and you see a couple of big sweet potatoes that got demolished there, but if the voles got into this one, it makes me wonder if they got into the other ones. But still, the voles have, for the most part this year, left us alone. We've been so appreciative of that. So seeing this is not even close to the end of the world, because we've had so many sweet potatoes that weren't eaten up this year. And similarly, our potatoes came through beautifully as well. Now you can actually see the size. I said consistency. You can see the size of these and what we would have. And again, unfortunately, we got some loss here. There you see it again. Some loss to those mouse-looking creatures. But even with that loss, we still had quite a few that were in pretty good shape. And plus, you know, we don't put all of our sweet potatoes in one basket. So we have other places that we've grown our sweet potatoes. So I think that's important as well, because if something like this happened to everything, you know, that would be an absolutely miserable time, which we've definitely dealt with in the past. Variety number 8 is our Beauregard. And the Beauregard's another one of those really solid producers, or it has been in the past, and also phenomenal tasting. But I see something here. It looks as though this is one of the other ones where I had to replace one of the slips. And it looks like I replaced it with maybe the Japanese red. We'll see what we got as we get into this. This is the beauregard over here. It's kind of an orangish color to it. And you can see a few of them right up here. Again, has tended toward pretty good production size, pretty good quantity, and I can actually feel some down in here. Some pretty good stuff, I think. Yep. Right down in here. Just start breaking this apart, letting it crumble. Give it a little bit of a little dirt slide here. Yeah, really nice. A little bit longer, but good size to it. Yeah, there's the Japanese red. That's funny. Yeah, that happens sometimes. You get some differences. If I'm not mistaken, I actually ran out of slips. Ran out of the beauregard, so I couldn't replace it with the beauregard. But hey, as long as I'm getting good sweet potatoes, the variety there, in this case anyway, doesn't matter. Although I will say, that one was shaded out by the potatoes and some of our green stalks that we had nearby. And so I think we just didn't quite get the kind of production I would have liked, and that might be why it also struggled at the beginning. That is, I would say, right up there with the white triumph this time around in terms of minimal production. Well, in my mind, 8 varieties is a lot of varieties, and I've done it in such a way that you didn't see any repeats yet. But now I still have a couple more containers, so now we're going to see some repeats and see how the other containers did. And we're going to start with some Stokes purple. I won't mind adding this productivity, whatever it ends up being, to the pile whatsoever. So let's see what we got. All of these varieties, the last 3 that I've pulled open here, have all been at about the same spot, right beside our keyhole bed. Look at those beauties. I tell you what, these purple sweet potatoes, we've made a purple biscuit out of them. Purple sweet potato biscuits, so good. Actually, might be one of my favorite ways to eat them, as biscuits, believe it or not. But you talk about stunning culinary appeal. When you least expect a purple vegetable, you add that to the list. It is so good. And you know, the purples have tended to be nice and productive for us, even if, as I mentioned earlier, they tend to be a little bit longer. Hey, I scraped this one up, but that gives you an opportunity to see that purple flesh. I'm gonna move out of the sun a little bit so you can see it a little bit more clearly. See all that white? That happens when you cut these open. When you cook them, they are a vibrant purple. And we've got another Japanese red, and this one in particular has one of the plants that really spread out. So I suspect, I hope, we have some beautiful sweet potatoes inside. Let's start breaking this apart and see what we got. Yeah, those Japanese red, oh, they're such a good sweet potato. Now, do you have a preference? You know, some of the sweet potato varieties are stringier, some are definitely starchier, some are sweeter. Do you have a preference on what you're looking for in a sweet potato? Do you prefer the starchier varieties, the ones that are a little less sweet? Do you like that texture? Do you prefer the stringy ones? I mean, growing up, I think about all the sweet potatoes we ate were just really stringy. You know what I'm talking about? You mash it up and it just has that stringiness to it. Let's see here. Yeah, there it is. I knew I felt some big ones in there. Look at these beauties. Look at that. 4 of those right off the same one. That's that bigger plant there. Yeah, just a really good producer for us. Now, very annoyingly, I didn't hit record. It looks like the white triumphs are sitting here in the last container that I have, trying to redeem themselves a little bit. Some smaller ones, but look at all the bigger white triumphs as well. It's like they're saying, you badmouthed me a little too much, and now they're trying to make a comeback. I'm going to keep digging through here. I'm so sorry I didn't get you on here. I should have. I really should have, because this is the least disappointing the least disappointing white triumph harvest we've done in 2 years. Here, look at this one. Look at this one. So, I mean, well, if they all produce like this, if my white triumphs did what they're supposed to do, now I don't know. Now I have a conundrum. I have a big conundrum. Oh, look at that one. This sweet potato's been eaten up. You see it? It's got little worms and stuff in there. The rest of them are just fine, but that one in particular, not so good. Oh, there's more down in here. What on earth? Well, now I need your advice. The white triumph is trying to triumph in the end and trying to convince us to keep trying. What do you think we should do? Let us know in the comments. Well, folks, that is so funny. White triumph looking horrible the whole way through, and then all of a sudden trying to get us to keep growing it. You know, the only variety that the voles attacked at all was our vardaman, and we still got some decent ones out of there. Our beauregard had already been halfway harvested. Our Japanese red really came through. Beautiful Japanese red. Our purple passions, just like we would expect, were amazing. Our Centennial had some of the biggest sweet potatoes, and our Stokes purple was the most plentiful overall. And we started out with those beautiful Hannahs, and those are going to make for some delicious eating as well. Now, how many of you remember the old radio mystery show? And yes, I loved listening to old radio mysteries. I have a whole bunch of cassette tapes of them, but the one called Suspense. The thing about our potato harvest and our sweet potato harvest here is we're really kept in suspense, not knowing if there's going to be damage, not knowing what the productivity is going to look like. We just do our best to get them to a point where they should produce, and we're very happy with today's sweet potato harvest. Lots of different varieties for us to grow next year. So we'll see how that goes. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's sweet potato harvest video, and if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.